You are now watching a True Knicks Talk podcast post-game show live with your host, CP.
Brunson sets three-pointer, gets his man, 3 seconds left, put it up for three. What a combination by Jalen Brunson.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Welcome to the True Knicks Talk post-game show. It's your boy CP here from the CPNYSports YouTube channel here with my co-host Nick from the He Did This To Me podcast. Nick, how are you doing today? We got a hell of a dub, game one. First True Knicks Talk post-game of the playoffs. How you doing, man?
Hey, man. Orange and blue skies, you know what I mean? There was a lot of tense moments, but at the moment I am elated and we got out of there with a dub.
Oh, that's the only thing that matters right now, guys. If you are in here, some of you all may be listening to on X, YouTube, all that good stuff. Come on over to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to both YouTube channels. Link is going to be in the description down below for the He Did This To Me podcast. This is also being streamed for the first time ever to the He Did This To Me channel. And make sure you go hit that thumbs up and the subscribe button. I definitely appreciate that. And hit the thumbs up, like I said, keep commenting. Hit the live chat. How are you all feeling right now? Knicks dub. Let's get into it. We're going to be analyzing this game, and we already got big task at hand in the chat saying, what? Knicks pride, baby. Boom, 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 boom. Big task. We appreciate you. Let's talk about this game. 2024 NBA playoffs are here. Here is your Knicks starting box score. The Knicks lead the series 1-0 by a score of 111-104 in the opening game at MSG. The Garden was electric. Everyone was out and about. A lot of people on my X account were actually at the game. So very jealous of them. But listen, this box score is absolutely wild to me. And we are going to talk about the bench contributions that we got out of all three bench pieces, which propelled the Knicks to victory in my mind in this game, especially with a struggling Brunson that only shot 30%, just a tad above 30% from the field. The three bench pieces, let's wait to get into them because, listen, going into this series, I said Deuce McBride was the X factor. We'll get into that here in just a second. But how are you feeling about the starters production, and what did you like? What did you not like?
Obviously, Brunson had a tough night. And from the very beginning, you could just see that he wasn't himself. He seemed sped up. He seemed like he had a little bit of nerves going, something like that. He just did not seem like himself. And you kept expecting him to snap out of it, like we've seen him do so many times. And he would show little hints of it. But then other times, there was times where I was just like, just move the ball. He seemed like there was times where he just wanted to get off a shot, and that's not typically how he plays. And luckily enough, we were obviously able to withstand it. As far as the other starters, Ragu, I thought actually was playing pretty well. But then when Deuce does what he does, I think at one point in the fourth quarter, he was a plus 34 overall. At that point, you can't take this guy out of the game. Like, he's got to continue to play. So Ragu kind of got played off the court just because of Deuce's unbelievable performance. But then you have Hartenstein played a very, very good game. He did a great job of not fouling Embiid. He did a great job of making those great backdoor passes that he always makes. And then Josh Hart. I mean, come on, man. This guy, and Josh Hart again. There were certain points in the third quarter. I was watching the game with my pops, co-hosting. He did this to me with myself, and I said to him one point, I was like, yo, what is going on with this guy? Like, what is Josh Hart doing? He was very indecisive. He was passing down shots at the rim, deep, and then he ends up hitting the three biggest shots in the game, arguably. So, I mean, Josh Hart down the stretch, unbelievable shot making from that guy, unbelievable confidence. Him just screaming at the Garden and feeling the love back was just an awesome, awesome moment. What a win.
Yo, bro, if you didn't mention Josh Hart, like, I don't know, I was probably going to scream to the top of my lungs because this guy, before he hit those three big shots down the stretch, I believe he was only 3 of 10 from the field before that. A lot of other open three-pointers that they were just sagging off of him, waiting for him to take. And honestly, that's been the case all season long. And we sort of all season long have been flip-flopping between Josh Hart, what the hell are you doing? Take the shot. And oh, yeah, that man is confident as hell right now from 3, and he's going to shoot that ball. And it's been like sort of teetering back and forth. And today, you know what? He said, listen, screw it. I'm just going to let it fly. And last playoff series, I hate to mention the 2022 playoffs or the 2023 playoffs, whatever, however you want to call it. That man was probably had one of the worst shooting sort of performances, especially in that Heat series. And you know what? To see him bounce back in the game 1 of the 2024 NBA playoffs, that is absolutely phenomenal. Listen, the Knicks started off like garbage. I was getting a little bit worried because nothing was falling. I know it was very early into the game. I know the Knicks were going to come back, but I was very early in terms of the looks that they were getting. But listen, this was a complete all-around team win. Hart, Mitch off the bench, Brunson with, 7 assists on the ball game, but just being that commander of the ball right when he's in the game and just leading this offense through and through. Obviously, Devo didn't really he had a decent all-around game, but just not as much of the volume of shooting that you're used to seeing Dante DiVincenzo put up, only there with 8 points. But also, OG Anunoby, a crucial 3 himself, doesn't shoot often. I'm not gonna lie to you. He only took 9 shots in the game, went 5 of 9, which is great. But crucial, crucial 3 after Josh Hart's first 3 to sort of not put the icing on the game, but definitely separate the Knicks from the Sixers there late in that fourth quarter. Listen, this team, right, and we talk about someone asked me in my group chat actually mid-game, what is the contribution that you're missing from Julius Randle? Like, do you miss him on the floor? I said, this is hindering our offense, no doubt. But after that, and this is when the Knicks are struggling, but after that point, everybody stepped up, Nick. This was just absolutely, and listen, you know what the most electrifying part of this game was the physicality. I feel like the New York Knicks set the tone and they were physical, especially late in the game with Embiid. Mitchell Robinson pestering Embiid. I love it. I fucking love it, man. Shout out to Mitch off the bench. Shout out to Deuce McBride. My guy Josh in the chat here saying the Deuce is motherfucking loose. Listen, man, I don't curse on here ever, but this has me amped. This has me absolutely electrified. It's a great day for New York sports, man. The Mets took a series from the Dodgers, hottest team in baseball, and our New York Knicks are now 1-0 to start the series. A lot more work left to do, but we enjoy the victories when we get them. And Aaron is saying here, did Deuce really try to defend Maxey today? Listen, Maxey's always going to get his regardless, Aaron. Always going to get his regardless. And honestly, there were times where Maxey got kind of a little bit of cheap layups, did a little crappy Euro step, and nobody really wanted to contest and get the foul in the and one. But nonetheless, I really do think that Deuce McBride, as soon as he entered the ballgame, we know what his contributions were from 3, just sort of shadowing Tyrese Maxey made all the difference in the world. Listen, like I said, Tyrese Maxey is going to get his regardless. He's a dog. Like, I'm never going to take away from the opposition's talent. Tyrese Maxey is that guy for sure. But Deuce McBride really made a difference, and it's not going to show up right in terms of Maxey's point total, but you can just tell Deuce McBride just forced a little bit of uncomfortable shots. And sometimes that's all the difference in the world. So I don't know what you got to say about that, but I really do think that this ball game changed for the better, right, with Deuce McBride entering that ball game.
I mean, yeah, the plus minus definitely tells the story with Deuce McBride today. And Maxey, he's unbelievable. He's legitimately the fastest player in the league, it seems like. I mean, it seems like when he's got a head of steam going, no one can stay in front of him. He's got that Euro step, boom, boom. They say he's a big D Wade fan, and I can see it in his game. And but to start off the fourth quarter, Deuce did slow him down a little bit. And that's the thing when we're talking about great players. You're not going to just totally erase them, but you're going to try your best to slow them down. Josh Hart, the thing about him is that even though he is doesn't have great form, he's not anywhere close to what you would call a pure shooter, we know that he's clutch. He's shown us multiple times. Look at the game in Cleveland where he hits a step back daddy 3-pointer to put that game away. And today, I'm talking about off the dribble pull up like with the man, have it, off balance, bang. And when we need it, and give Brunson his credit, because Brunson, in both the pass to Hart and the pass to Anunoby, they were trying their best to get the ball out of his hands. He made the correct, confident pass to a guy who stepped in and knocked down a shot. Mitchie goes to the line. He hits 2 free throws.
Thanks.
Mitchell Robinson was unbelievable tonight. He was all over the place. You could tell Embiid is he's compromised. He's not making that second jump with Mitch and getting up, and that's why Mitch was able to dominate on the offensive glass as he always does. I mean, Hartenstein was playing great, but Mitch came in and he was the hot hand. I mean, defensively, when he had that play where he snatched it and he rolled around on the ground and ended up in a jump ball, and the Garden crowd was going wild. Man, come on, man. That's the type of shit we need. I loved how Mitch played tonight. He was fantastic, and I just really think that we showed tonight, even with a totally subpar game by Jalen Brunson standards, we are still able to pull out a win. And Joel Embiid physically, I see him having a hard time. Like my pop said to me during the game, he said, I think this is about the best that we're going to see out of him. He had a good game. But physically, there's only so much he can do. And our rotation, Bogey, give Bogey some credit. Bogey hit some big buckets, man. Bogey, and there was times where we needed just a bucket here or there, and Bogey came up for us and made some big buckets. He had one really great rebound and then kick ahead to I think it was to Deuce. And, Deuce, man. Yeah. That shit. Deuce he was killing. There was times in the first half where I was like, yo, this shot can't go in. He can't hit another one. And it was just water. Yo, Deuce was a baller tonight, going to the whole lefty off the glass high, playing deep. Come on, man. All hail and all the credit has to go to Deuce. I think, honestly, him and Josh Hart are the most important players of the game tonight.
Bro, Deuce McBride, first of all, I'm Bojan. Dude's a dog, right? He's confident in that shot. He gets to that free throw line and does a little fadeaway jumper. I'm like, well, that's a terrible shot, and he somehow sinks it. Maybe gets a help here and there with some rolls off the basket. But listen, ever since we started this, right? Ever since we started co-hosting this, and I brought you up here for the True Knicks Talk postgame show, we've been like on both Bojan and Alec Burks' asses, bro, ever since that trade deadline. And you know what? Alec Burks is not sniffing any minutes this playoffs, minus maybe some catastrophic injuries, but Bojan is here. And to credit of Josh here in the chat, shout out to Josh, by the way. Thank you for tuning in. No Precious and no Jericho Sims needed. This is a huge tell, and this is especially a huge tell with no Precious. We were kind of like, okay, 8 or 9 man rotation. And we both said it's going to be an 8-man rotation with the 3 guys that actually ended up coming off the bench today. Obviously, no Precious Achiuwa, but we'll see what happens here in certain situational basketball. It is a huge tell that Precious Achiuwa didn't play in a game like this, but it's like, do you expect Precious Achiuwa to get any run at all in these playoffs? I'm just going to do a little side tangent there. And I just want to shout out everybody in the chat too, like Mason, Big Task, Aaron, Josh, both Joshes. I appreciate you all. And Josh is asking me what's in the cup. Some good old OJ. We're having fun on a Saturday night. So yeah, man, Josh, I listen. That's it. All right, go ahead, Nick.
This cup is just some water, but it is Saturday. I won't,
it's water, bro.
This is just water. This cup is just water because we're doing the pod, but it is Saturday, so we've been getting it in a little bit. But hey, this is Precious. If we play Indiana next round, Precious will get some run. This series right here, it's like, Precious, they don't have a 4. All their Tobias Harris is like their 4. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't have a 4 that he matches up with, and you don't want Precious having to deal with Embiid. So I do not think that Precious is going to get a ton of run in this series. But I do think that if we play Indiana, or even whoever we play, Indiana or Milwaukee, if we get to the next round, which I obviously think we will, I think that then, Precious can carve out some minutes. But right now, I mean, listen, you can't. The thing I love about Tibbs is Tibbs plays the hot hand. He's not a guy who's like, I got to go back to DiVincenzo because he's my starter. I got to go back to Hartenstein because he's my starter. No. All right, this is what's working right now. We got to go. I mean, basically, Brunson is pretty much the only player that has autonomy, and he's going to be on the floor. And to a certain extent, Josh Hart. And the thing about Josh Hart is that even when he's not, shooting the ball well, even when he's just doing stupid shit with the ball in the third quarter, man. Just being mad careless with the rock and doing dumb shit. Him and Brunson, honestly. And even when he's doing stuff like that, there's so many other things that he does well and consistent impact that he makes on the floor that it's hard to take him off. And he played the entire second half, and we needed every single moment of it. I told my dad towards the end of the game, we won't talk about this from years from now. We're going to call it the Josh Hart game.
No, we literally are. Because listen, this dude, like, you know what? When I look at performances, it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And this man, Josh Hart, is never out of the damn ball game, right? And just grittiness. And I think I shorted him one rebound here on the night. I believe he had 13. I could be wrong though. But nonetheless, this guy is the epitome of New York basketball, bro. I just want to take a second and just go on a tangent here and just talk about all this talk that the Knicks fan base on X and social media was talking about this offseason when we gave Josh Hart that 4-year, $80 million bag. Listen, especially after a relatively down shooting playoff performance last season. This man is the definition of New York basketball, the grittiness, and he is getting all of these rebounds. Like, listen, bro, I don't know how many times we're gonna see Josh Hart just dash across the court into that paint and just grab that ball and grab that rebound, throw himself on the floor and get that loose ball. Like, you need players like that in today's NBA, and it's a lost art. It really is a lost art, and not many teams have this type of guy. I'm not gonna lie to you. And like, I'm not trying to go off and be a homer for Josh Hart right now, but not many NBA teams have this type of guy right now in
Why
today's
not? Go off, King. Give Josh
No,
his
listen,
love.
and he deserves the love, bro. And not many people today, obviously, we're giving him his props, right? But he doesn't need to score 22 to make a tremendous impact on the ball game. And that's what a lot of people like. We can sit here and look at box scores all day long, but if you take a look at Josh Hart over the longevity of this 2023-2024 season, and even going back to last year, it was very evident. He shot the ball really well. He does not need to score the rock to make an impact. He can score 10 points for all I care as long as he's doing it on the other side of the ball defensively and on the glass. And also, he is a big reason throughout this whole entire season the Knicks have had a great offensive rebounding perspective, and they've been one of the top offensive rebounding teams in the league because he goes after the loose balls, especially those long rebounds on the offensive glass. So shout out to Josh Hart. He is that guy. And shout out to their podcast because he always does a great job. I think that, like, honestly, I don't know who's the glue of that team in the locker room, but I feel like it's Josh Hart. I feel like he has the personality to bring everyone together. You know what I mean? Like Jalen Brunson, like is slowly becoming a little bit more like social and into the New York like media sort of things, like that side of it. But I feel like Josh Hart already has that personality, right? And he's always had that personality to be that one to bring the locker room together. And that's just speculation from me, but it really feels that way for me. So, listen, great game all in all. The bench contributed. And listen, I'm gonna go to the next slide here. This is what we were kind of talking about here. I wanted to throw this in to paint a picture to people who may not have been box score watching, didn't really see the end results of things. This is the, I guess, team statistics, if you will, of how this game played out. And Nick, what was our biggest key for the New York Knicks this playoff run? And it's just getting started. Like I said, it's just one game. We understand that. We're not sort of saying, oh, this is going to be the entire playoff run. We're not getting ahead of ourselves here. But looking back at last playoff run, it really left a sour taste, at least in my mouth, because the Knicks just simply couldn't keep up with the shooting aspect, especially against the Miami Heat, right? And you talk about these great shooting teams, especially from outside, like the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, those top teams in the East, right alongside the New York Knicks, right? The Knicks are probably thought of as an afterthought in terms of the outside shooting. Now, don't get me wrong, Dante DiVincenzo has definitely helped, right? Jalen Brunson obviously shoots those threes well, but it's like, can we keep pace consistently? Having Boyan now helps. Having Deuce McBride literally tearing it up helps. but can they do that consistently? You see 45.7% from three versus 34.3% for the Philadelphia 76ers. Is this a trend that you expect to continue? Are you sold on the New York Knicks being able to replicate? Listen, obviously it takes the other team missing, which takes great contest. It takes great rotations as well, which you can obviously sort of impact on the defensive side of the ball. But at the end of the day, teams are going to get their fair share of threes and they're just going to put shots up. This is today's NBA we're talking about. Are you confident that this is going to hold true? I'm not even talking about the 76ers, just like aspect of things, but just that 45.7%, which I'll take all day long. Are you confident in that holding true?
No. If we shoot 45% from three, we're going to win the championship. There's nothing for the play. If we shoot 45% for the rest of the playoffs, we'll win the championship. That's not going to happen. Okay. But we also will shoot better overall field goal percentage. We missed a lot of shots that we typically make, that 39.6%. That number will go up. The 3-point number, hey, we just got to keep it in the high 30s. I think if we keep it in the high 30s, we have a chance because of that rebound number. We get so many extra possessions because of how we rebound the ball. And, listen, you talked about Josh Hart and everything that he did. Some of the different people who have criticized him, they don't know ball. If you watch this guy, you watch basketball, you know that he is a winning basketball player. And, hey, shout to Josh Hart, shout to Josh B, shout to Josh Renner, Josh B in the chat. He is the perfect guy to wear that number 3 like we love Starks. He absolutely, positively is the perfect guy to wear that. At one point, when he hit that 3 at one point, I wanted him to go like this, through the New York across the chest like Starks used to do back then. But I mean, I read online, I can't take credit for this. I heard somebody say that he's like the love child of Charles Oakley and John Starks. And it's a great description because he really is like, half of both of those players. I mean, I just love the way this guy plays. Even when I was frustrated with him, it's not like I'm thinking to myself, get him out of the game. And he rewarded Tom Thibodeau and all of Knicks land with just absolutely massive, huge shots down the stretch. I mean, you can't overstate the time and situation. I mean, a possession where it's a lost possession. The possession is shit. Brunson, whatever, throws it over to him. He's dribbling the ball and just pulls up. Bang! If he missed that misses, that shot misses. Everything's different. The whole we're both sitting here, mad and melancholy and shit. But it's like, this guy, he got it done. He's been absolutely fantastic. And when it comes to their personalities, I think you're onto something as far as, Brunson is more of a lead by example type guy. I've always said that your best player ends up being like the personality of your team. You look at like those old like Tim Duncan Spurs teams, how they just stayed the course. And they were just like him. And especially when you have that coach to player synergy, and now everybody just follows his lead. Josh Hart is more, I'm sure, vocal. And he also, I think, the thing I think is the masterwork that Leon Rose has done is that Brunson has ascended to this point because they've literally given him everything around him to make him as comfortable as possible. He can talk his shit now. He can do his celebrate, do all that stuff because he's got his guys with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that is so important. And it's just, even with him having about as bad of a game as you'll see him have, we're still able to get the dub, and he's still able to make the 2 big key assists when it really counted.
Y'all, I mean, we're spitting right now, and the reason why we're spitting right now is because the New York Knicks are letting us spit. They're letting us talk our talk as fans right now. So y'all make sure you hit that thumbs up if you're watching this. Listen, I know I have a lot of Mets fans on my channel. Hopefully some of you all are also congruent Knicks fans.
Rangers tomorrow,
my
baby.
Mets hat.
Rangers
let's
tomorrow.
go. Nick's
Let's go.
Also a Mets fan. We're riding high today. The Mets took a series from the self-proclaimed best team in baseball, and now we're talking about a New York Knicks team that was actually going into this series as betting underdogs, the 2 seed versus the 7 seed. Oh, we heard Paul Reed say the Knicks are the easier matchup. We heard everybody else and their mother say in the mainstream media, probably outside of Kendrick Perkins, say the Knicks are the easier matchup, which might even hold true, right? Maybe teams would want to see the Knicks over the Boston Celtics. We get it.
Oh, why
Okay,
not?
understood. But listen, everybody, for the most part, is counting the Knicks out. And I'm not even going to get into Stephen A. Smith because that guy doesn't deserve an opinion. That guy doesn't even deserve to sort of spew his, oh, the Knicks are going to the Eastern Conference Finals after what he pulled this whole entire season. Listen, if you weren't rocking with us, especially when the injuries were going down, when Julius went down, when Mitch went down, when OG went down, and if you were saying that the Knicks should just literally give up on the season and fast forward to the next season, you don't deserve to celebrate these wins. And I'm sorry, I got to call those people out because that pissed me off. And I love the Knicks fan base and I love interacting with people, but some people in every fan base, this goes true for every fan base, but especially the Knicks fan base that want to get clicks, that want to get the engagement, and they might be successful in doing so. But when you do that and when you set that precedent, people like me and a lot of people who love this team through and through and will rock with them no matter what happens, we're gonna judge you, man. We're gonna literally just like look at you sideways, and that's just the simple fact of it. So, I just want to go off on that tangent, man, because listen, there's so much adversity with this team, not only with the players but the fans. Like the positive side of Nick's Twitter was just struggling. And listen, I know I
There's been a
haven't had him
resurgence
on my
recently.
podcast in a
I think there's
while.
been a resurgence recently with the positive side of Nick's Twitter. I gotta give shout out to my guy NYK Mentality 1985, who's out there
Facts.
leading the charge.
Facts. Shout out to him. Shout out to Mentality. And shout out to Ari from Ari Hoops 84. He is through and through one of the most positive Knicks fans on the app that you will see. And he was on my podcast going back into the 2023 part of this season. And you can scroll back on my YouTube channel and find him. I was doing a post with him. And that man on X really sets the precedent of being a positive Knicks fan and just not panicking. So more power to them. I definitely was panicking a little bit, but I wasn't spewing
Yo,
nonsense by any stretch of the imagination whatsoever.
there was one point in the third quarter where like I was just like a ball of nerves. I was just like, yo, man, come on, man. We played so well in the second quarter. Third quarter, they come out and they just run us. And I mean, we just look a step slow. Maxey is cooking, Embiid's back. And I'm just like, oh shit. Freaking Kyle Lowry, he's so annoying. He's such a nuisance. Where
I don't like
good.
Kyle Lowry, bro.
I don't like him personally, but I realize that he's one of those guys. If he was on my squad, I'd probably
You'd like
really
him.
him.
Facts.
Yeah.
We talked about that at the trade deadline too. When he
like I
cleared
was like,
waivers
yo,
or whatever.
but yeah, no,
Nah.
shout out to my guy AJ who said that he basically says he's dramatic and he's kind of dirty and he's been labeled crafty. I do think he's pretty crafty, and he seems to always hit that fucking big three when like either like the game's getting away from it or like they're coming back but close but not close enough. He always seems to hit that three to get them there. Like that's just his game. He'll take a charge, he'll get a rebound, he'll do something. But overall, I just think that how lucky are we that we got a game with Brunson playing like that, and you just you have so much confidence. The fact that like I had confidence the entire time. Like when there was like 4 minutes left, I was like Brunson's gonna take over right now, and he hit that one little fadeaway jump shot in the lane, and then the next time he had the possession where he missed the jump shot way short. He gets his own rebound, and then he gets the charge, which was a charge, and it was just like. That was how he was playing the whole game, just like a little bit too fast, like too much nerves, too much going on. So now he gets a chance to chill, and hopefully on Monday he can come back and he can be the guy that we're used to. And if he's the guy that we're used to, we win comfortably.
Before I get into the chat here, because I see a couple comments here about the Rangers playing tomorrow that I want to get into because I want to shout out the squad.
Let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers. Absolutely. We'll talk about that here in just a second. I know it's the Knicks post game, but do you think this type of game calms Brunson down a little bit? Like, yo, I don't really have to be like, I know I'm that guy, like, and I've been that guy and I will continue to be that guy, but I don't absolutely need to be that guy because my guys got me my guys got my back and they'll pick me up if I have a bad game. Like, do you think that relieves some pressure seeing that he went 30% from the field and they still got the dub. Like, if you're Jalen Brunson, what does that do to your confidence in your
Um,
mind?
I see the thing about Brunson is I don't think his confidence ever wavers. I think that he had supreme confidence throughout the game. He just seemed to be a little bit nervous, honestly. He seemed to be just like a little bit sped up and not his self. And I think that he is the type of guy that he will rewatch this and he will think the same thing about himself. And he'll realize that, my pops, he said to me during the game, and he made a really great point. He said, Brunson's gotten to that level of player. One thing that you watched, even when Jordan was still the best player in the league and like scored like 28 points a game, in the first quarter or so, he would chill and get other guys involved, let them do their thing. If something came to him and good, Brunson was doing too much where he was initiating. Brunson, move the ball, move it. Try, as our guy Tibbs always says, trust the pass, move it around, and then get the ball with somebody running at you. I gotta stop for a second because I was giving my man Josh B the press. I was giving him some love. I was giving him some love before, and then I just saw in the chat he comes in with this crazy talk about how he's not a Randall fan. I don't understand how anybody who considers themselves a Knicks fan cannot be a Randall fan, considering he was the beginning of this
He
renaissance that we've
was.
seen. I am the president of the Julius Randle fan club. He is currently down and got hurt. At the time he got hurt, he had just made the all-star team and was playing the best basketball I've ever seen him play. So, Josh B, if you're not a Randall fan, I don't know exactly what we got to do, but come on, man. What does this guy got to do for you to be a fan of his? What does he got to do? Huh? Who's the
Shout
guy?
out.
Everybody who always says, oh, Julius. Who's the guy that you want instead of him? You want to trade him for Karl Anthony Towns?
No, come on. But speaking of them, they just blew out the Suns today in an
The
incredible.
Suns have no identity. I live in the desert.
Yeah.
I grew up in Jersey. My
Yeah.
pops grew up in Brooklyn, but like I live in the desert, so I consume more Suns, and I have homies who are Suns fans. So therefore, the Booker instead of Julius, one's a 2 and one's a 4. This is the thing is that okay? So I would love to if we could somehow add Booker in addition. That would be great. But the team right now, the thing that will stop us is that we're too perimeter oriented, and we don't have one guy other than Brunson who can consistently score
Right.
in the paint, and he's still small. It's gonna be harder for him to do that in the playoffs. That's why that doesn't work. But
let's play devil's advocate here for just a little bit before I scroll up in the chat here because I know we're getting off into a tangent. This isn't really about tonight's game, but let's just say that. And shout out to Josh. Josh is a true supporter of the channel. Like
I will
we're
not
just
tolerate
kind of-
any Julius slander ever.
We don't- I might as well
have to.
be the vice president of the Julius Randle fan club because that's my guy too. I'm rocking with Julius all day long. He really did start this renaissance of new Knicks basketball, obviously coming back into this organization or coming to this organization in 2019. I get that the effort isn't there to the naked eye for some people as much as they would like, right? This is New York. You get the spotlight shined on you. But listen, let's play devil's advocate. Booker, this is not going to happen, right? Let's just say it for what it is. Booker comes here. You have to kick Dante to the bench. Do you think at all, in anything, and I'm not even saying let's just take Booker into account here. I'm saying about at all in this offseason. And I don't even want to talk about offseason right now, but do you think that Dante DiVincenzo, is there any chance that he lands on the Knicks bench next season? Like, is he going to come off the bench given any sort of acquisitions this offseason? Do you think?
It's hard for me to say is there any chance, but I'll give my opinion as far as like what I would do if it was up to me. Because this is a conversation I've actually had me and my pops pretty extensively as far as like, there's only a couple guys that I would ever like bring in right now and put them as the starting two guard in front of Dante. So I was even talking about like because they say DeRozan really wants to come here, and I mean DeRozan, I loved his game, but this is the thing: the only
bench piece, bro.
This is the thing: if you could convince DeRozan to say, "Hey, you're gonna be my sixth man, and you're gonna finish a lot of games because he's fucking crazy clutch like late in games and gets a shot off whenever he wants," if you can convince him to do that, because I need a guy who's not just a 3-point shooter, but a 2 or 3 feet behind the line 3-point shooter with a quick release as the guy who's one pass away from Brunson. That makes his life a whole lot easier when that guy is that guy. That's why, you got Quentin Grimes. He wasn't it. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that there's not too many people that I would be willing to bring in and have start in front of Dante DiVincenzo, and also Dante DiVincenzo being on such a team-friendly contract. Once again, masterwork by your guy Leon Rose. That allows us to be able to do other things. So there's not too many guys that I would bring in and put in the starting shooting guard spot. It's in front of my guy Ragu.
And he was the third leading three-point shooter in all of the league, right? I believe it was Steph ahead of him, and I forgot who else this season, but then the big Ragu was number 3. So, I agree with you. We'll see what happens. This offseason is gonna be interesting, but let's just I can't look forward to the offseason right now. We have the playoffs literally right in front of our faces, and Julius
Before we get
Randle's
off
not
the
part of the
offseason,
playoffs.
before we get off the Randall stuff, I gotta come at Josh B one more time. He's in the chat. I gotta come at him one more time. I want to ask him: did he watch either the game against Miami last year, or did he watch the game against Minnesota this year down the stretch? Where the game against Minnesota, in my opinion, was the most clutch performance we've ever seen from Julius Randle, shot after shot. When Brunson was having a tough game, right after it was the first game that we had OG. I'm pretty sure it was on the first. It was on the first of the year, New Year's Day, and my man this was going to be Randle's year where he was going to show everybody in the playoffs, and he was going to do his thing. And as we saw tonight, Brunson, our fearless leader, he just had a tough one. So it can happen to anybody. I'm not going to run away from the fact that Julius Randle has not played great in the playoffs. Last year he was hurt. But he did have some very, very good games, but he's hurt. He got hurt again and was never able to really get to form. But Josh B, by the beginning of next season, Josh B, you keep watching. We're gonna have you supporting Julius too.
Yeah, facts. And we appreciate you just even being here, Josh. We appreciate you supporting the channel as well. As always, guys, make sure you continue to hit the live chat, right? We're having a friendly discussion. We're having great discussion here. We're all community here. As long as you all are rooting and not being a fake fair weather fan for the New York Knicks this playoffs, we are all here to have great discourse. So not only make sure to subscribe to me, but if you have not subscribed to the He Did This To Me podcast over on YouTube, type in at He Did This To Me, whether it's right now in a new tab or whether you do it after the stream. Subscribe to their channel, to father-son duo, New York Sports. They took the wrong side of the football equation because they're Jets fans and they stink, and so do we at the moment. But listen, we have a little bit better history than they do. Doesn't matter. We're both Mets and Knicks fans, which is all that matters right now.
And Rangers. And
Rangers.
I'm pumped for this Rangers game tomorrow, man. I'm pumped for this Rangers game tomorrow.
Speaking of the Rangers, we got Aaron Blueshirt's banner in the podcast, in the stream right now. We will be co-hosting a post-game show after the Rangers game tomorrow on this very channel. So shout out to my man Aaron first and foremost. Shout out to Josh for also being a Rangers fan, LFGR. And my guy Marshall here. I'll forgive him. He's a Caps fan. Understood. But listen, I really hope the President's Trophy does not hinder our ability to put away the Capitals this season. But nonetheless, we'll see here shortly. We'll be live after game 1 to see what happens. But there you go. Josh B is a Jets fan. So there you go. That's a saving grace. But we got Let's Go Mets. Absolutely. Let's Go Mets. This is a huge game today. Listen, I posted a short about it. I'm going to be doing the pregame show for the series tomorrow. Going for the sweep. Y'all tune in. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet and you're a Mets fan, if you watch the replay or you're here right now, we're going off. Sunglasses and all. Strictly business out in LA. So shout out to guys.
How many times have I said to you that Marte was the key?
He's the key. And he's absolutely proving me wrong.
Listen, Marte last, if you look at the Mets the last few seasons, when the Braves came and stormed back and overtook us, it was when Marte got hurt. You look at his last season, he was hurt all season. He is the key.
I was giving him a lot of flack this offseason, but you know what? He's shut me up. And so is Harrison Bader. And this team is just like gelling right now. So anyways, that's the Mets tangent. I understand some of you all may be Yankees fans. Understood. You picked the wrong baseball team, but it's all good. You know what I mean? We root for the underdogs here. So let's get into this, though. We know the Knicks. Sorry, we're on the Mets conversation. I said Mets. We're on the Knicks right now. 1-0 series lead. Electric game. Embiid, monstrous putback dunk, but came up hobbling and did not after he came back in, did not look like the same Embiid at all. Obviously, they're a different team with Embiid on the floor, just being there, regardless of what his contributions are. Their confidence, everything. They're a different team with him on the floor. What are your keys to the rest of the series? Given what we know now, we know what we saw. Juice McBride, contributions, 21 points off the bench. Bojan Bogdanovic. Would you, this is actually kind of a curious question because I haven't thought about this. And I don't think Tom Thibodeau is going to do this. And I don't think he's going to mess with the mojo of the team. But would you start Mitch at any point in this series over iHeart? No reason to do that, right? I don't think he would either. I wouldn't do either. But just a question. Just a question.
To quote my guy Charles Oakley, if it ain't broke, don't break it. Okay, there's no reason to do anything like that. I thought we had the perfect rotation as far as the centers. You throw them both at them. Whoever's having the game, that's who you go with. The thing about iHeart is that he gives you that ability to play make and throw that slick backdoor pass, which is very important as well. That's the one thing that Mitch is not going to give you. But Mitch gives you supreme athleticism, his ability to guard the pick and roll and just basically guard everybody on the floor at once in the paint is fantastic. Embiid, listen. That attempt by him, you out here, you're on a bum knee, you're acknowledged that you're 70-80%, and all of a sudden you want to be Tracy McGrady? Like, chill. Like, I just thought that was just it was mad reckless. It was a crazy reckless attempt by him. He needs to be doing everything. My dad said it's to be during the game. He's right. He needs to be doing everything where he's jumping off of 2 feet and landing on 2 feet. He can be extremely controlled. He was killing us in the first quarter. In the first quarter, I was like, he looks pretty good to me. And then, he made that play. And then, as you can see, he's going to continue to be compromised as this series goes on and as even within a particular game as it goes on. We got to make sure that we are continuing to challenge this guy. There was one time that Josh Hart had the ball underneath and Embiid was there and he went and tried to bring it out and it ended up in some stupid possession that was either a turnover or some bullshit. And it was like, dude, go up and try to dunk the ball. Make him challenge you at the rim. We have to continue to do that because he doesn't want to do that. And then we saw there was other plays where Mitch was able to, volleyball the ball to himself and put it in. And Embiid was just, he's not able to get that second and third jump with a guy like Mitch. Mitch played fantastic tonight, man. I mean, on the glass, huge plays at huge moments that changed the game. And then when they try to foul him at the end of the game, he goes up, knocks down 2. Let's go, Mitch, man. What a game by him. So lucky and so happy to bring him back. At one point, we thought he was gone for the season. That was, we tried to get the medical exemption for him as far as him being gone for the season. He's been able to work himself back and was one of our 3 most important players.
That's wild. And I almost forgot about that medical exemption claim that the Knicks put in there that got denied by the league. And that's just absolutely crazy to me to see how big of a turnaround 4 months can do. Because we're talking about 4 months now, right? From the end of December. So that's crazy to me. And that just puts in perspective, right? How much has happened to this Knicks team in the last 4 months. And listen, man, I couldn't be proud of this team. The bench is going to continue to be the X factor for me and the key for me in the rest of this series, right? Even if Brunson has a hell of a game out there, right? Even if he goes back to the old Brunson, and we know that he will because this is Jalen Brunson we're talking about. I have unwavering confidence in him, and he's that guy. But listen, you got to help take the pressure off of Jalen Brunson, right? Especially in those non-Brunson minutes. You got to get scoring and you got to create efficiency. And I really think that Bojan Bogdanovic and Deuce McBride did just that today. And they need to continue to do that this series because guess what? A couple of guys on the Sixers side, Nick Batum, right? I don't really expect much of Nick Batum, but I do expect him to make the open shots when he gets the ball. Listen, we've been torched by what's his face? Georges Niang in the past, right? Georges Niang can't freaking miss against the Knicks. So I expect that Nick Batum, when he gets a wide open 3 in the next game, he's going to make it, unlike tonight. So I'm expecting this was already in a close game. I'm expecting it to be even closer for the rest of the series. And so these bench pieces, like we got to maintain that consistency off the bench. It has to be literally relentless out there. Deuce McBride has to be relentless, which he was today. Mitchell Robinson, same thing. Like, we can't take games off. We can't take quarters off. It has to be a complete ball game. And it wasn't today. It wasn't. It wasn't a complete ball game by any stretch of the imagination. And they still came out with the victory. Jalen Brunson wasn't himself. They still came out with the victory, right? So, and Josh Hart, right, for the first part of the game, the first like three and a
First
half
three
or
quarters.
yeah, 3 quarters, wasn't himself shooting wise offensively until he finally just was like, screw it, I'm gonna let this thing fly. So all that to,
He hit his first
all
three.
taking
He
all
hit his
that,
first three. That's the thing. His first three,
yeah,
he caught it and confidently shot it. And I was like, okay, let's
yep,
go. And then there's other times after that. Listen, I think there is a balance that he has to have as far as like, all right, just because they're sagging off you, that doesn't mean I don't like when he shoots off the dribble too often. If he doesn't have to, it's better if he just catches and shoots it. But at the end of the game, when he had to, he was able to knock it down. I think that's probably mentally for him very hard to grasp. Like, okay, when is the best time to do this? But we need him to be confident. We need him to shoot just to keep the defense honest.
yeah, absolutely. And that's just the perfect statement right there. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be a close series. We'll monitor the health of Embiid, right? I'm sure the Knicks are game planning, right? They know that he is injured. He's playing injured. He's not going to not play. So he's going to be out there for that Sixers team. If I had to guess, the offense is going to flow through the hands of Maxey more often than Embiid's hands, right? If he's injured. I mean, that could be a wild statement. I understand Embiid gets the ball every single possession, but Maxey is really like what I worry about for the rest of the series. If you can keep Maxey at bay, the Knicks are looking good. And that's all I'll say. So I appreciate everyone in the chat. That's all that I had here for the post game. Listen, this is an electric win. It's just a start. But this is a good start. And this is exactly the statement kind of win the New York Knicks needed in this playoffs. And a lot of media people talking about, oh, the Sixers, right? They needed to take the play-in game. They wanted to play the Knicks. You saw
Yeah.
Josh Hart even say, I don't give a
Mm-hmm.
F what Paul Reed said. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care. I love that energy. Josh Hart was built for New York, and we'll see what this Knicks team does in this series. But like I said, you always want to take that first game because it takes the pressure off a little bit. And it just helps set the tone, right? We talk about that in the pre-games. Just take the first game of the series. It sets the tone for the rest of the series in the baseball realm. Same thing here with the playoffs in the NBA. So very proud of the guys. Nick, final thoughts here. 111-104. The New York Knicks are victorious over the Philadelphia 76ers in the first game of the 2024 NBA playoffs. Electric. What do you got for me?
As I've said already, I'll say it one more time. We got to win with Brunson having about as bad of a game as he's going to have. Careless with the ball, not hitting shots, not moving the ball, not doing the things he typically does. And we were able to pull it out with team basketball because that's what we've done all season. Guys step up, different guys step up on different nights. Deuce, fantastic. Bogey giving us, big shots and some big minutes. Josh Hart hitting massive shots down the stretch. Mitch all over the place, totally impacting the game. Hey, man, we were able to get it done. And throughout this season, I can't think of a time I've ever seen Brunson have 2 bad games in a row.
I like that. I'm not going to say anything else on top of that. So we'll just leave it at that. I like that little ominous sort of ending here. So I'm just going to do the shameless plugging. As always, guys, this is the True Knicks Talk post-game show. As always, if you're here, hit the thumbs up on YouTube. If you're watching over on X, make sure you catch the replay. If you didn't watch the full stream, hit the thumbs up once you're over here on the YouTube channel. Don't only subscribe to the @CPNYSports YouTube channel. You can find me on X, Instagram, YouTube, all of that at CPNYSports. But this is also being streamed to the He Did This To Me podcast over on YouTube as well. I believe there's no underscores in your YouTube. It's just He Did This To Me, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, he did this to me over on YouTube. Make sure you go subscribe. As always, thank you all for being part of the live chat. We appreciate everyone in the chat. Let me just go up and down here. We got Oliver, we got Josh, we got both Joshes, we got Marshall, we got Conflicto, we got Aaron, we got who else we got here? Mason was part
Conflicto's
of the
got a
stream.
Puerto Rican flag. That's conflicto.
Conflicto. We got Big Task as well. We appreciate everyone. Thank you all so much for rocking with us here. As always, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Tell your friends, tell your family if they are New York Knicks fans as well to subscribe to the channel. And listen, schedule permitting, we'll see you all in the next post game. We're going to be trying to go live after every single game. But as for Aaron in the chat as well from the Blue Shirts Banner podcast, we will be live after the New York Rangers play game 1 of their playoff series here against the Washington Capitals. We appreciate you all so much. And as always, well, first of all, I have to make a great point here and just back you up in saying, when have we seen Jalen Brunson have 2 bad games in a row? And that's all I'll leave it at. So, as always, True Knicks Talk post-game show. We'll see you on the next one. Let's go, Knicks. See y'all later. Peace.
Thank you for watching the True Knicks Talk podcast. Make sure